Hey, welcome back to Swanson's Garage. It's a pretty nice day out there today. Things have dried up quite a bit, so I dug out some of my axle parts, spindles and whatever. I'm seeing if we can get enough together where we can put the rig up just a temporary front axle on this one in the yard so we can move it around in the near future. Because the ultimate goal is to get this transmission into the garage eventually, so we can start working on that one. Today I got rest of the front axle pivot pin out of the front casting. If you remember last fall we had gotten some of it out, but there was still the chunk stuck in the back. So today I got the drilled out a bunch of it to weaken it, and then I actually ended up cutting off what was left in the back there, and then driving it back to the center here to get it out. So we won that battle. So now, like I said, I'm just trying to round up the parts and pieces to get at least a couple of wheels on it, even just if it's kind of not even right, just enough so we can roll it from here over to the driveway and get it into the garage. There, we couldn't possibly have this any more cobbled together, but I think it'll be good enough at least to roll it over to the driveway. I mean, there's no tie rod, there's no steering, nothing is remotely even right, but we don't have to go far. We dialed the MacGyver level up to about 11 here. This is just ridiculous, but hey, if it's crazy and it works, is it really that crazy? That wasn't so bad. Got her staged in the driveway here so we can start breaking it back down again. If you're wondering how I moved it, basically just took that bar under the wheel and just pried it around. Wasn't too bad with no lugs on it. The flat wheels, it rolls pretty easy really. It's another pretty nice day here. Let's start breaking down this second 1525. I can take this off because this is not original. This is a farmer fix here. Looking at all this will all need to be straightened out eventually. That's all bent up. That's all bent up. This one's actually bent. So that'll be fun to straighten all that out. Just looking at these holes are in pretty good shape though compared to the other tractor. And I think after that we will get the wheels and final drives taken off, and then take the front end back off, and then separate the front from the back, and then from there we can get the rear end into the garage is the plan. We'll see how much we can get done here today. There, when you're working by yourself, you make do. Cherry picker rigged up, bolts removed from the bottom. We can take this out of here now. I just noticed another production change here. Brought this one we just took off, the bent up one, off the 25, leaning it up against the one from the 26. And the holes, they reduced the number of holes for the drawbar adjustment, and they moved the fixed rivet locations. They must have figured they didn't need quite as many holes. They eliminated one from each end between the 25 and the 26, and then they moved the rivets over. Okay, I've gotten the final drives loose from the wheels on both sides. I have the transmission rigged up on the cherry picker. I've actually got it to the point where it's picking up most of the tractor here. So now I'm going to see if I can take the caps off and the ends of the axle plates off so then I could try to slide the wheels off. It was nice when Dad was here. We were able to get the wheels off with the assistance of another person, but I'm here by myself now, so we'll see what I can do. It's coming apart. Good news, bad news. Good news is this side final drive is looking pretty good from what I can see. The axle might even be, it's still worn. And probably better than the other one. Pull that out. The bad news is this final drive is no good. Big old chips and chunks missing everywhere. It's very worn. This side is shot. So, looks like we'll be taking the one good Michigan parts tractor final for this tractor. Let's see if I can figure out how to get the rest of this apart now. We're kind of precariously dangling on the cherry picker. Figure out how to separate the front half from the back half here now. Okay, got a couple of benches under here. Jacks for a little bit more safety. Let's crack this apart here. We'll sit on the benches. This should hang on the cherry picker. And we'll disassemble the front after that. There's a little bit of logic to my madness here. Well, wasn't expecting that. Tractor just took a leak. Apparently there's a little bit of water inside that transmission. We drained it, but there must be some more. Okay. Now what? And carefully set down on a couple of timbers onto the base of the cherry picker. Now we should be able to finagle it inside the shop. Phew! Got it in here. It was a chore though. It doesn't roll very good. Kind of had to bar it in most of the way. A lot of weight there. Well, we can technically say we have two kinda tractors in the shop at one time now. Two chunks at least. Yeah, let's go finish picking up outside. We still got a big mess out there. Well, we didn't think this one through fully, did we? It'd sure be nice to have the cherry picker to pick up this chunk and move it around at this point now. But that's currently being used. Let's see what else we can figure out here. Yeah, that was pretty on the sketchy side, but it worked. Don't do what I do sometimes. One of those do as I say, not as I do, I guess. Okay, what's next? And again, that maybe wasn't the best way to do it, but we got it apart. Now we should be able to get this apart fairly easily. We can officially say we used the last little bit of usefulness of those bearings up. They're officially toast. Let's squirrel all these parts away and pick up. Okay, we got all the parts put back on the pad here. Driveway is cleaned up. Now we just got to spend some time reorganizing and cleaning the shop. It's a disaster in here. It is. You didn't think winter was actually over here yet in North Dakota, did you? If you did, you were wrong. Funny how it changes here. A few days ago we were outside in the driveway there breaking down the tractor in our t-shirts. Now we're back to winter coats and snow for a few more days, but that's okay. That just means we have more time to work on 1525 stuff. Let's maybe look at this a little bit, see what we can figure out. So I was digging through the stock, trying to figure out what I had for junk to make up a stand for this transmission. Probably build it pretty much the same way we did for the other one, because that seemed to work pretty good. But I don't quite have everything I need, and if I'm going to be completely honest, I don't really feel like working on that right now. So I did some cleaning, put some stuff away, squirreled some things away. I think we're going to crack into this a little bit, see what we have to work with. We'll worry about putting it up on a stand a little bit later. Oh, remind me again why this is a fun hobby. Scraping dirt, grease, finding all kinds of wore out parts. You look at that final drive, the width of that versus the width of a good one. This one's twice as wide. There's lots of wear on these final drive pinion gears. So we're probably looking at replacing them. We've peeked in here before. And remember we found this differential, this half of this differential is broken. So we should have a good one in the Michigan parts tractor, hopefully. That can take care of that. But there's lots of play side to side on this differential, which now that we know how all the bushings and spacers work on those, we should be able to fix that. Okay, that's not a big deal. Then we start looking at transmission gears. And I know it's hard to see the shiny and the black. You can't see a lot on camera. But side to side, there's oodles of play in all these intermediate shaft gears. So that's not a good sign. There's a good portion of chewed down edges on the gears, which, yeah, that we could probably dress up and be okay, but it's worse than the gears in that transmission. What else did we find? I think the sliding gear on the belt pulley shaft, there's a lot more wear on that than the one in the other transmission. It's grinding gears. If I can emphasize anything in this channel, one of those things would be, if you don't understand how your transmission functions, try to learn or have somebody show you or something. Because if you know how they work, it's a lot easier to not wreck one. If you know how they slide and they function, and if you understand how letting the gears stop before you shift gears and what to do if they're not engaged, all that kind of fun stuff, don't grind gears. That's not the answer. You do so much damage when you do that. And yeah, it might happen from time to time, but this isn't just a one-time occurrence to cause this kind of damage. This was repeated grinding many times. And oh, that's frustrating, because that could have all easily been preventable. Off my soapbox, I guess. I come over here and scrape all this grime and grease and dirt off of this final. Just kind of giving it a level 1 tidy to see what we got to work with here. How many pounds of crud do you suppose is scraped off of a restoration project like this by the time you're all said and done? It's got to be a lot. I mean, look at that. That's just from there. Last night I got the shifting detent casting off and the cover for that side off. I think I'll continue today with trying to get that stuff apart and just continue as we did with the other transmission, taking everything apart and trying to get this down to a bare casting. I've kind of been through this all before, so I'm probably not going to cover this all in great detail. If you're new to the channel, you can go back and watch some of the old videos. I'll try to just give a quick recap on this one, because you probably all don't want to see it all a second time, but just know that's what I'm doing. Looking like a bomb went off in here. Look at all these parts. Grease and tar everywhere. Got this final drive out, bearing out, pinion axle out. I got the intermediate shaft taken out, but those gears can't come out until we take the differential out. That's why I'm taking the pinions, so we can take the caps, so we can take the differentials, so we can take the gears, so we can flip things around, so we can get the shifting rails. But the only thing left would be the belt pulley, and I'll be going home in the near future so I can get my great big bearing splitter and great big puller out. So hopefully we can take the belt pulley shaft off the belt pulley off the belt pulley shaft, so we can remove the shaft. Hopefully it's not as big of a fight as it was on the other transmission. If you remember that, it was a pain. One thing I have learned, or maybe relearned, is that there is fiber washers on the outside here too. I don't remember if there was on the other tractor, but we'll have to make some. Because we didn't make any of them, we only made the inside washers, fiber washers. But now that we know how to make them on the CNC at work, we can make up some new ones for this outside here too, which now that I talk about it, that explains what this mystery one is for, I guess. Yeah, that went there. Okay, things are coming together. So to make 4 new ones of them, 2 for each tractor. Yeah. What a mess. I've forgotten how dirty and tarry and icky all these parts are. I'm not looking forward to cleaning out another transmission housing. Anybody want to come and clean up dirty parts? Okay, some observations here. I got the caps pulled off, this side all apart. Yes, my glove is wrecked, I see that. There's some differences in some of these parts between this 25 and the 26. One I've noticed is these plates for on the axle. The felt, get it loose here, is like halfway stepped in there, right? Where the ones on this one, that felt is in a groove in the center of that plate. So they changed design there in production. And then I just noticed this differential. I was just about to rig up my chain to pull this out of here, and I couldn't use my previous setup because it's different. If you notice, the hole here to go into the middle of the differential is right towards the inside. On this one, those holes are towards the outside. So another change during production. So hopefully that doesn't knob us from using that part from the Michigan parts tractor, because this one is broken. I'm hoping maybe they're still the same. The holes are just different, you know, cross our fingers, wishful hoping. But I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Like everything, we'll take it all apart and see what we got to work with. Might have to go to plan B, but as of right now, that's what I know. And then I noticed too, so I'm going to pull one of these bolts to rig up so I can lift this out of there. And these bolts, I've not loosened that yet. They're all loose. They're cotter pinned and everything, but they're not tight by any stretch of the imagination. So, not sure what's going on there. Kind of looks like somebody's been here before. Maybe they didn't know what they were doing? Question mark? Yep. Bout work needed. Not a big surprise, is it? Little bit wore out. Wow. I know you're all thinking, how's he going to get that onto the bench when he's got the differential transmission case on the bottom of the cherry picker? Well, let me demonstrate. picked it up, set it on some boards. Now I can roll it right over onto the bench. These stupid taper pins are making me mad. Can't get them out of there. I think I'm going to walk away before I really get mad here. We made some pretty good progress here today. Just about got the transmission all taken apart. A lot of cleaning up to do in our future. But our motivation is looking at that one. We can make this ugly mess look like that. I'm going to come back to this with a fresh set of eyes a little bit later. But for now, I'm going to thank you all for coming and hanging out with me here at Swanson's Garage. See you next week.